Good evening. A public meeting will be held tonight about plans to house asylum seekers at an RAF station in Lincolnshire. The government is considering using Scampton as it tries to ease pressure on the asylum system. The airfield was the headquarters of the Red Arrows and the famous World War II Dambuster Squadron. Over the weekend, a group of world-renowned historians wrote to the government opposing plans due to the historic significance of the base. Dan Snow is one of them. I'll be talking to him in just a moment, but first Jake Zuckerman has this report.
From the Dambusters to the Red Arrows, Scampton has been the home of some of the RAF's most famous squadrons.
Scampton is an incredibly historic airfield, one of the most historic airfields still around in the country. It's got heritage that goes all the way back to the First World War. When the Royal Flying Corps was there. It's part of the big RAF expansion scheme in the 1930s. Got many, many original buildings from the officers' mess, sergeants' mess, through to 4 Grade 2 listed hangars.
So could these disused buildings soon be the home for up to 1,500 asylum seekers? That question has been on the minds of local people ever since the government confirmed the site was one of those under consideration.
Everybody is concerned. Really needs to know confirmation about what we can expect to be happening.
To make the single person accommodation up there habitable again, it's going to take a long time and a lot of money.
I've worked with refugees from Syria and I know that they need support, but at the same time obviously there's difficulties in a very small community with a large number of possibly young men.
Scampton Parish Council is expecting a large crowd at its meeting this evening.
We were envisaging 200 to 250 people. I think it might be considerably more than that now, and people are going to have to be very patient. We can't take everybody into the building.
In the House of Commons today, there was this warning for the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman.
If she goes ahead with her plan for 1,500 migrants being placed there, this will scupper the long-term retention of the runway and the £300 million worth of investment by Scampton Holdings. Minister.
Well, I had a helpful and constructive meeting with the Right Honourable Gentleman, his constituents. No decision has been made with respect to RAF Scampton.
Meanwhile, a group of eminent historians have written to Suella Braverman, urging her to rule out Scampton as a potential holding site.
Well, Jake is still at Scampton. Let's have a word with him. What can we expect at this meeting tonight?
Well, I think it's fair to say this is going to be a well-attended meeting. There are already people arriving nearly an hour before it's due to start, and organisers say they'll do their best to make sure everyone can hear what's going on. And there are going to be representatives from Lincolnshire County Council and West Lindsey District Council to fill in local residents on what information they have, although at this stage it seems there's little concrete information about any potential government plans. So in reality, what this meeting is likely to be about is an opportunity for the local community to have their voices heard and to work on a unified approach to influence government policy. The local parish council says this is not going to be a political meeting. They just want the government to make the best decision for the future of Scampton and for the future of the people who live here. Peter.
Jake, thanks very much indeed. Jake Zuckerman reporting a large number of people are expected at that meeting tonight. Any developments from the meeting, of course, we'll let you know on the programme. Well, the historian Dan Snow is one of those who signed a letter to the government, and he's joining us now. Dan, good evening to you. Why is it very alarming putting asylum seekers in a large empty building, which is actually not being used at the moment?
There you go, classic middle-aged man mute situation there. I think that's not quite as simple as that. As I understand it, that there's the talk of kind of redeveloping the site in a far more aggressive and impactful way than just simply letting people camp out in an empty building. Of course, that's a very different proposition. What I think we're really worried about is the fact that it's not just any old airfield. This is an airfield that is at the absolute heart of the story of Britain in the 20th century. It was that airfield from which the first raid left at the beginning of the Second World War. It's, of course, the Dambusters airfield, important Cold War history. So, there's been a big debate about the future of Scampton. We've already lost, as I understand it, the amazing office space used by the officers of the commanding officer, for example, of the Dam Buster Squadron. So it's just the kind of, I always get really worried about heritage properties, places which I think we can develop into be extraordinary national treasures and huge advantages to the region.
Isn't using Scampton better than using hotels in a resort like Skegness as the summer season approaches? I mean, these people have got to go somewhere, haven't they?
Yeah, I suppose I'm not very helpful on one level, because I'm here to saying, look, from a history point of view, we're really worried about the use of Scampton and other places for all sorts of reasons. Digging up the runway, for example, would be is a huge moment there. It's just that if you treat you've got to treat heritage properties. I think we have to treat heritage properties as hugely important in our national story, not just because what they represent, the past, the memory, but also what they can offer going forward. Like this is the centre of a really exciting potential plan to kind of try and save Scampton and bring innovation and bring aviation and aeronautical engineering to the area. And so I guess we're nervous that what the government are going to do is, if this is a kind of slippery slope to just going, well, we're going to house people here and then we're going to just smash it all down, because now, of course, it's unusable, and I think we're sounding the alarm, I guess.
Okay, well, a lot of people in the Scampton area would totally agree with everything that you've said there. In the letter which I've got here, it does say there are other options. Where would you like to see the asylum seekers go then? What are these options?
Well, as somebody who is not an expert on where to house people across the UK, if I knew that, I'd be in politics. I don't know, unfortunately. As I understand it, there are other options. There are, as well, there's the places where people are at the moment. There are the hotels. I know that's not a popular option, but it strikes me that if that accommodation is available, that's where people are now. I don't see why we're suddenly having to surge people into this one particular building of the entire kingdom that we're lucky enough to live in. And there are, of course, if we're talking about empty buildings, there are many other brownfield sites right across the UK. So I feel it's not for historians to be put on the spot and say, well, where exactly do you want to put them instead? I think it's for us to say proceed really, really cautiously when we're talking about a national treasure.
Well, apologies for the question then. Dan, it's great to have you on the programme tonight as a historian, not a politician. Great to have you on. Thank you. Now, like your views on this one, it'd be good to get your comments on. This is the former RAF site at Scampton, the right place to house asylum seekers. If not there, then where? We've heard about protests, of course, in Cottingham and Skegness about the use of student accommodations and hotels. Let me know what you think. Is Scampton better than using hotels? Do you agree that with Scampton? If not, why not? And where would you suggest that the asylum seekers are housed? And there is that meeting tonight. The email address is there, looknorth@bbc.co.uk. Text number 81333. Start the text with the word Look North, or follow me on Twitter and tweet now. We'll have some later in the programme, and of course tomorrow night, and tomorrow we'll let you know what happens at that meeting.